someday you might see it. Yeah, never say die. Got to go.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to more of the Subscriber Dynasty series, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. It's time to talk about the Dual Spirit Jinzo that does show up during the first season of the show. They have made quite the interesting deck, and it definitely involves Jinzo. Jinzo must be one of the most used characters in the show. They showed up in the Big Five, they showed up in Esperoba's deck, they became part of Joey's deck. And then they show up again in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I mean, Jinzo just has a lot of love at Konami. And you know what? I love him too, so it works out because Jinzo is very interesting. So looking at his deck, you could already tell that some things don't look right. Well, Jinzo's deck in the show was basically Jinzo, Emissary of the Afterlife, Malistal Demise, Spirit Caller, and Thousand Eyes Idol. And because he ran so much normal level 1 to 3 monster support, I had to give him more, because that's what I do. I hurt my fans. And I decided on Phantom Dewan and the Bewitching Phantom Thief. Cards you can now watch are my Dark Duel Stories Let's Play. But looking at this deck, the rare cards in Jinzo's deck are pretty obvious. He likes to use the Call of the Haunted. He likes to use the Ectoplasmer. He likes to use the Amplifier, which makes which allows Jinzo to not stop your own trapped cards, so that you can use your Call of the Haunteds, your Spirit Barriers, your Magic Drains, and your 7 tools. Very interesting cards, but what we do need to do now is get into Jinzo's stats. Now, Jinzo's stats are a little bit easy to talk about, sadly. Jinzo is an amazing monster, a single tribute monster that has 2400 attack. That makes him a beast in himself. Ignore the trap card stuff, he's a beast. And because of that, Jinzo makes the attack stat go up by a lot. But then you got to look at his other monsters. His best beaters in his deck are Malistal Demise and Emissary of the Afterlife at 1600 attack each. And they are not very good. The new average is 1750 basically, so 1600 is going to drag it down. And that's the best he has to offer. The rest are Spirit Caller, Thousand Eyes Idol, which ruins both his attack and defense stat, Phantom Dewan, which ruins both of his attack and defense stat, and Phantom Dewan and Bewitching Phantom Thief. Literally, the attack and defense stat of Jinzo is butchered by the normal monsters. And honestly, Spirit Caller's not doing any favors either, or the Afterlife for defense. But looking at their attack stat, Jinzo's attack stat is going to be a depressing 2 bars. Now, the reason he's getting 2 is because Jinzo himself is awesome. If it wasn't for Jinzo and the fact that it's not too hard to summon Jinzo in a deck like this, I would just say this is one of the worst decks I've ever seen in terms of attack. But Jinzo saves the deck and gives it 2 bars by itself. And that's really sad, but that's the best he can do. Getting into the defense stat, Jinzo doesn't save you. 1500 defense for 1 tribute? No. All of these cards? No. Spirit Caller? No. Malistal Demise? Yes. Malistal Demise is the only one that at least hits the average or goes above it. The rest drag it so far down. Yes, we have Spirit Barrier for damage, but we're talking about defense here. We have no invincibility cards here to save him. This is a 1-bar defense deck. The average was destroyed by normal monsters, Afterlife, Spirit Caller. Jinzo itself does not do it any favors. Only Malistal Demise is the reason this deck gets a 1-bar at all. 1 bar to defense stat. Thank you, Malistal Demise. You are the only reason. Jinzo's deck, compared to everybody else's, is not good in terms of defense. But we can now get into the speed stat. And the speed stat is very affected because he actually does have Emissary of the Afterlife, which when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to search for a level 1 to 3 normal monster and add it to your hand. Look at that. You have options. Then you have Spirit Caller. When this card flips, you can special summon 1 level 3 or lower normal monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. Hey, look at that. These guys have a use now. You have Malistal Demise. When this card gets destroyed by a continuous spell card, you get to summon it on your next standby phase. Hey, look at that. Ectoplasmer does that, so boom, boom. You can summon on your next standby phase. That's a special summon. You have Graceful Charity. That's good. Good search. You have 2 Call of the Haunted. Good. There you go. Revival cards. The speed stat of Jinzo is really, really, really solid. Most of the cards in his deck have something to do with speed. I would say above half. And because of that, Jinzo is receiving a 6 bar in speed stat. This deck, in terms of that, is actually really fast. I know some of these are situational, which would be Malistal Demise, and you don't want to start Spirit Caller until one of these things die, but that's how you pull off Jinzo, is one of these things die, Spirit Caller revives one of these things, you summon Jinzo off of one of these things. Boom, 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 you got it. And you keep Ectoplasmer so that your opponent can't do anything, and you MST your own Ectoplasmer if you just want to go for Jinzo. Boom. But overall, it's a really fast deck. You're able to search, you're able to revive, you're able to do stuff. It actually does do that. So 6 bars for Jinzo's speed stat. The skill stat is where things are effective as well. Spirit Barrier is a stall card because it makes it so you take no battle damage. Ectoplasmer is a burn card where your opponent will have to be constantly burned. Am I seeing anything other than burn and stall? Burn and stall. Burn and stall. I'm not. I don't see any other effects that have anything to do with a win condition, burn, stall, direct attacks, piercing damage. I'm not seeing anything like that. I might be blind, but I'm definitely not seeing anything like that. And because of that, even though he does have 3 and 3, so that does actually, and it's continuous burn because of these. You know what? I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say Jinzo's skill stat is a 3 bars. The reason it's a 3 bars is because he does have combos, at least, that do a continuous burn, that make sure you always have a monster. That's really nice. And if you do it this way, you'll always have a tribute for Jinzo. That's really nice. Spirit Barrier will keep your life points safe. That's really nice, as long as you can keep a monster on the field, which you probably can do with Spirit Caller, which you can do with Emissary to make sure you always have a monster. Honestly, when it comes to skill, there is some skill in this deck. There are some burn potential in this deck. There are some stall in this deck. This is not the worst deck in terms of skill, but it's not the best, so it's only going to receive 3 bars. And that is being generous. That is being generous, I understand. And maybe it's because I feel bad for Jinzo's attack and defense stat that I'm doing this, but that's still, I'm going to do it. We're going to go ahead and move on to Jinzo's brick stat, and that's where things get a little bit depressing. Because even though this guy has some speed to him, and he does have cards he will constantly draw, and honestly, Jinzo, it's not the brickiest card since it's a single tribute, and he's got some revival. You know what? Brick stat-wise, other than amplifiers are bricky. Amplifiers are bricky. I don't even want to consider Jinzo bricky because of all this. Triple Ectoplasma is pretty bricky. You only want to draw 1, and this increases your odds of drawing 1. Honestly, I'm going to go with rarely bricks on this. We're going to give it a 7 bars, because most of the cards you draw, you will be able to play. Like, all of these cards are playable. Sure, you don't need multiple copies of some of these when you draw multiple copies, like Amplifier, like Ectoplasma, like Spirit Barrier. But at the end of the day, you can use them. You can actually just use them. Spirit Caller, all of these cards are usable. So yeah, rarely bricks, 7 bars for Jinzo. Honestly, looking at Jinzo's deck in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, even though I'm the one that gave him this, if we just left it with the cards he had, these monsters and this, it's still a really depressing deck to look at. I think Jinzo is completely screwed. Looking at his potential, and this is a deck I've tested, you can win duels thanks to Jinzo himself. Jinzo is a big enough beater and stops trap cards, so you can definitely win duels just thanks to Jinzo himself. And you can win duels through Ectoplasma as well with the Malistal Demise. I've actually won a test duel doing this combo, because it could not be stopped since he comes back every standby phase. My opponent on his main phase can't kill it. Unless I run into an opponent that can remove from play, this is literally an unstoppable combo. And as long as you have good stall with your Call of the Haunted, your Spirit Berries, your Emissaries, you actually can win the burn game. So, overall, potential for Jinzo to win this tournament is going to be a 1.5 stars. This deck is not going to win the tournament. This deck can definitely win a duel, which is why he's 1.5 stars. He's not going to make it through the bracket. Anybody that plays this deck, you are not going to make it through the bracket. Now, if you are one of my Discord fans that actually want to be part of the subscriber series, go ahead and copy this deck exactly and try it out for yourself, but expect to lose some duels. Expect to lose a lot of duels, in fact. That's why he's 1.5 stars. I honestly believe that Jinzo is going to be the only card that wins you duels, and maybe Malistal Demise with some stall. So, yeah, I gotta say it, 1.5 stars. Jinzo, you're a cool monster in general, but you're not winning the tournament. And I'll be happy to see if you can win a duel. Anyone of my subscribers that would have tried this deck out against other subscribers, go ahead. I think it might be interesting to see. So, that's going to be it. I'll see you all next time, and thank you all for watching more of the subscriber series. Bye-bye.